Welcome back to Baby Takes. Today we got a very special episode. We're doing our fantasy episode of the week. I know on last episode of the college football, I mentioned that I might have a fantasy episode out this weekend, which was actually last weekend, but I decided to get it out this week so that you guys could have your weekly content along with the TikTok content, daily, Instagram, Facebook, all that's going to pop up right here actually. So you guys go follow those. We got daily content over there, updates on the videos over there. And please make sure before we start to like and subscribe. It's more viewers like you guys to come out and see the video and enjoy it as much as I know you guys do. So make sure to go follow us on our socials and then like and subscribe. Let's get right into the video. It's going to be my favorite fantasy football breakout candidate for every single NFL team. Starting it off with the Cardinals, it's got to be Rondale Moore. D-Hop's going to be out. Rondale Moore has all the tools that you want in a fantasy wide receiver. He can get you the touches. Last year, he had 72 total touches, 511 yards, and only 2 touchdowns. That's automatically going to go up. He's going to get one more year in the system, and D-Hop's out for the first 6 weeks. Next up for the Atlanta Falcons, I got Bryan Edwards, a signing that just happened this year. Bryan Edwards has a lot of potential. Last year, he was mentioned to be a breakout at camp, ready to come out and shock the world. Didn't really happen that way. Hunter Renfrow, Darren Waller really took the reins in that season as the receiving candidates for the Raiders. But I think Bryan Edwards can automatically come in, be a top guy for the Falcons. He's only competing with Kyle Pitts and Drake London, so those receptions are going to come. I think those touchdowns can come as well. For the Baltimore Ravens, I have Rashad Bateman. Rashad Bateman looks to be the number 1 guy this year. Besides Mark Andrews, he's going to be the main target on this offense. Say what you want about Lamar Jackson. The dude can throw the ball. The dude can make the throws that he needs to. And since Hollywood Brown just got traded this offseason, Rashad Bateman's going to step up and he's going to be that number 1. I like his versatility. He can play in the slot. He can play on the outside. And last year alone, he had 46 receptions, 546 yards, and only 1 touchdown, but he only played in 12 games. So I'm expecting that to at least double this year. He's going to be a 1,000-yard receiver. He's going to catch at least 5 touchdowns. I love Rashad Bateman this year. Now, the build is an obvious one. It's Gabriel Davis. We saw it last year in the playoff game against the Chiefs. He could go off whenever he wants. He's a deep threat, and with Josh Allen's cannon of an arm, you definitely need deep threat. Emmanuel Sanders looks like he's not coming back to the Bills this year, so Gabriel Davis is going to move up to that true number 2 behind Stephon Diggs. Well, Gabriel Davis can really top it off, go for the deep touchdowns, catch 4 touchdowns in a game like we saw in the playoffs last year. I truly expect Gabe Davis to be legit fantasy wide receiver 2 this year. Next one is a little interesting. It's DJ Moore. DJ Moore isn't your normal breakout candidate because just last year he had over 1,000 yards. He had 4 touchdowns, had almost 100 receptions. But Baker Mayfield is going to be the best quarterback that DJ Moore has ever played for. DJ Moore has all the tools you would want out of a true number 1 receiver. He's got the speed. He's got the strength. He's got the shiftiness. He's getting better as a route runner every single year. I think he has true top 5 receiver potential this year. Next up is the Bears. The Bears was tough. I can't really find a true breakout candidate for them, but what I came to decide on was Justin Fields. He didn't have a good season last year. Threw for just 1,800 yards, 7 touchdowns, 10 picks. He did have 72 rushes for 406 yards, which I expect to go up. Seeing the Bears roster this year, you only expect them to be down quite a bit this year. So that means more throwing the ball. It means more opportunity for Justin Fields, even though he's limited in the wide receiver room. I think Cole Kmet, Darnell Mooney can get enough done, and that he can have a successful, mid to average level fantasy QB season this year. Next up is the Bengals, and a guy I really like is Hayden Hurst, the new tight end. Last year they had CJ Uzoma. He was very respectable fantasy tight end. I think Hayden Hurst can even have a bigger impact. Hayden Hurst has the speed. He's been reliable. He just hasn't got the opportunity. And now he's coming into this room as the number 1 guy. I think he's got Drew Sample to compete against, but I think Hayden Hurst is the true guy in Cincinnati. And I want anybody on this offense. You got Joe Mixon, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, and Hayden Hurst. You can get anybody on this offense. They're going to be a plus player for you. This offense is going to be out of the park, and I just expect Hayden Hurst to hop along the train and really have a successful year. For the Browns, it's interesting. I have Donovan Peoples-Jones. This really matters on who's going to be throwing him the ball, but I think he can be the true number 2 receiver behind Amari Cooper. And he's shown flashes in the beginning. Last year, he went for 34 receptions, 557 yards, and 3 touchdowns. I think that can only go up as he's now moving into that true number 2 receiver role with OBJ gone, Jarvis Landry gone. He's really that guy behind Amari Cooper. So I expect him to get all the touches he needs, get touchdowns, get yards, and I expect him to have a successful season. For the Cowboys, I expect this to be Tony Pollard. Zeke can only go for so long, in my opinion. And Tony Pollard last year looked more explosive, faster, looked like almost a better running back at times. And they may split carries, but I think Tony Pollard will eventually take over the role maybe halfway through the year, maybe even sooner, depending on Zeke's injury history, as we know, can be a bit iffy. And Tony Pollard is explosive, fast, as I said, powerful, really all that you want in a fantasy running back. And again, just like I said with the Bengals, this is going to be a potent offense, and you want anybody you can get on this offense. The Broncos, everybody's breakout candidate for the Broncos is Javonte Williams. That's obvious. But I went a little bit different. I picked Jerry Judy. I'm a big believer in Jerry Judy. I am a Broncos fan myself, so I may be a bit biased, but Jerry Judy has some of the best potential in the league, in my opinion, to be a top receiver. In terms of just route running, I think top 5 ability in the league. He's got good size, he's got good speed, shiftiness, as I said, with route running. And now he has the best quarterback he's ever had with Russell Wilson, obviously. So I think he finally gets a chance to show what he can do, and I think what Jerry Judy can do is going to be special. My Lions breakout candidate is DJ Chark. I almost chose DeAndre Swift for this, but I feel like DeAndre Swift really had his breakout last season. He's going to be better, but I think DJ Chark really has a chance to surprise a lot of people. DJ Chark has loads of potential. I like what he did at Jacksonville with all the chances he had. Got to stay healthy. He's a big-time receiver. He's going to be that number 1 outside threat, except for Amon St. Brown on the inside. And I think he can get his receptions up. I think he can get his touchdowns up, and I think he can do something special in Detroit. This next one is one I am super excited for. Allen Lazard is the breakout candidate for the Green Bay Packers. Right now, he's the best wide receiver on this roster. And Aaron Rodgers is always going to put up the stats, and he's got to have someone to throw it to. So you got Robert Tonyan. You can throw it a little bit to Aaron Jones, even A.J. Dillon. But other than that, it's Allen Lazard, maybe the rookie Christian Watson. But I like Allen Lazard's potential a lot. 6'5", got a huge frame, jump ball receiver that Aaron Rodgers really likes. And Allen Lazard has had time in the system. Aaron Rodgers speaks really highly of him. I really expect Allen Lazard to come out this year and give you a true wide receiver 2 or wide receiver 1 potential. And I like his ADP, and I like where he's at. For the Texans, it's got to be Nico Collins. I like Nico Collins last year. They gave up a lot of draft capital to get him, so they knew they were going to use him, and they did use him quite a bit, actually. He had 33 receptions for 446 yards and a touchdown. He's that big jump ball receiver, and with the year in the system, getting all that together, Davis Mills, him building that relationship, I think it's going to be great. He's going to be the number 2 option behind Brandon Cooks. I like his potential a lot in this offense, especially if Davis Mills takes that step up that other people think he will. Now, the one for the Colts, it was tough. Not all of these are going to have these big-time breakout obvious answers, but for the Colts, I have Paris Campbell. Paris Campbell's been a breakout candidate for years now, it seems. This is his last shot. He has the tools, he's got speed, he's got athleticism. We just need to see it all come together. Hopefully, it can come out this year. I wouldn't take a high risk on him. I don't think Paris Campbell's going to have a great year. In terms of breakout possibility, I think he's the best option for the Colts. For the Jaguars, this one's interesting. I got Travis Etienne. He didn't play last year, obviously. He was hurt, but they think they can use him like a Debo. And I like Travis Etienne's ability to do all that. He's got the receiving capability. They even tried to move him to receiver last year, it seemed like. He's got the running ability. We saw it in college. He's got the speed, athleticism. I love Travis Etienne this year. The only problem is James Robinson. We don't know when James Robinson is going to be healthy. Is Travis Etienne going to step up and be good in that role right away? We don't know. I actually like his potential more if James Robinson is healthy, because James Robinson can be that true back, and Travis Etienne can be that Debo role, per se. And we saw how good Debo could be last year. So I like Travis Etienne a lot for this year. For the Chiefs, I have Marquez Valdes-Scantling. I love Marquez Valdes-Scantling in this offense. He's not going to be the Tyreek Hill, but he is going to be the deep threat that they need. And people are saying he's the most impressive wide receiver in camp right now. And that's not only just deep threats, that's, out routes, slants, whatever route you need. Marquez Valdes has that potential, and I think he can be a true guy for Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes, as we know, is going to break the pocket. He's going to need that deep threat downfield, and Marquez Valdes-Scantling can do that. May not be as quick as Tyreek Hill, but he's got all the speed in the world. He just need to fix that drop issue, which he did a little bit last year. So I like Marquez Valdes-Scantling for the Chiefs this year as a breakout candidate. Now for the Raiders, someone I absolutely love, Foster Moreau. Josh McDaniels for New England always ran a double tight end set. You saw it with all of his previous teams, Gronkowski, Hernandez, Johnny Smith even last year, and Hunter Henry. Foster Moreau is going to have a breakout year. You got Darren Waller on one side, but Foster Moreau showed last year he has the talent. He only had 30 receptions for 373 yards and 3 touchdowns, but I think he can up that, get more touchdowns at least, be a good red zone threat. We saw it last year. He's got potential, and it's a contract year, so he's going to be balling out. And just like I said, with the Bengals and the Cowboys, this is going to be a great offense with Devontae Adams, Darren Waller, Josh Jacobs, Hunter Renfrow. I want anybody I can get my hands on this offense. Next, another AFC West team, the Los Angeles Chargers. I have Gerald Everett, their tight end. Similar to what I just said, this offense is going to be amazing, and I want everybody I can on this offense. Gerald Everett has shown that he can be that number one tight end. Even last year, had 48 receptions, 478 yards, and 4 touchdowns. Mainly on the Rams, he showed a lot of potential. Last year on the Seahawks, the quarterback situation with Russell Wilson was not healthy, was a little iffy, and couldn't get him the ball at the time. But Gerald Everett has a lot of potential, and this may be this last piece that the Chargers need to have one of the best offenses in the NFL. So Gerald Everett, I expect his receptions to go up, his yards, his touchdowns, his everything. I expect him to have a good year. Now the Rams, something I'm a little worried about, but I do think he has one of the best breakout potentials in the league. Cam Akers, their running back. He's shown the ability to run, to catch, to do whatever you need. And last year he had a little bit of fumbling issue in the playoffs, but before that he was showing flashes. He was doing good. He's going to be the number one guy this year with Darrell Henderson out. So I love Cam Akers, and I love his potential with this Rams offense. The Dolphins is Mike Gesicki. It looks like they're not going to come to a full-on deal besides the franchise tag. So Mike Gesicki's going to ball out in terms he wants to get that long-term deal either with the Dolphins or on a different team. And with a contract year coming up, you really expect him to ball out. He's got all the potential in the world. He was great last year, going to 73 receptions, 780 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And with this offense, now you got Tyreek on one side, so now Mike Gesicki can get freed up even more. Oh my gosh, the potential's all there for him to have a top 5 tight end finish. For the Vikings, there wasn't a great one, so I went with tight end Irv Smith Jr. Once again, hardly or didn't even play last year, and he's got potential to be a decent mid-level tight end if you need one. He's got Kirk Cousins throwing the ball, Justin Jefferson on one side, Adam Thielen on the other. He's going to have free range. He's going to have Dalvin Cook up the middle. He looks to be the guy at tight end, so I expect him to have a decent season at least. Now the Patriots, I went with an interesting one. I got Ramondre Stevenson. You got Damian Harris there already, but I think Ramondre Stevenson can take that step and be the guy this year. We saw with the Patriots, we see what they do every single year. They try to get off these guys before they start declining so they can get all the value they need out of them. Damian Harris, although he is young, Ramondre Stevenson's younger. Last year we saw they even started to split carries at the end of the year. I expect Ramondre Stevenson to come out and get a lot more carries than he did last year. He had 133 attempts, 606 yards, 5 touchdowns last year. I expect all of those numbers to go up. I expect him to be a good end running back 2 for you this year. Now, the Saints are similar to the Vikings, where they didn't really have a breakout candidate. I went with Adam Trotman. I really like Adam Trotman as a tight end. It's just I don't know how this offense is going to be. You just put in Jarvis Landry, Alvin Kamara's questionable. Jameis Winston is someone I really like, but Winston with a full season, maybe he starts to target his tight end more. Maybe he starts getting that passing game going instead of like Taysom Hill last year, where all these gadget plays you don't really know. So Adam Trotman has a lot of potential to be another mid-level tight end that you might get in the mid-level rounds or late rounds even. The Giants have a big-time breakout candidate in Kadarius Toney. He's had some off-the-field issues, it seems like, this year, which I don't really know how that's sorting out. I haven't heard a lot about that since around the draft, but I think Kadarius Toney can really break out. Before injury last year, he had 39 receptions, 420 yards, and he didn't get in the end zone. But he was still great. In one game, he had over 150 yards, just dominating. And he's shown the potential that he can be a Tyreek Hill-like type player, quick, can do everything, gadget type, get these jet sweeps, can catch underneath, can catch it deep. He can do everything you need. I expect all the receptions to go up, touchdowns, yards, everything. I expect it to all go up, and hopefully Daniel Jones can progress a little bit, at least to get him the ball a little bit more. Another guy I will be targeting in all my leagues is Elijah Moore for the Jets. I love Corey Davis. I like him a lot. I like Garrett Wilson a lot. But I think Elijah Moore has a potential to be the best receiver on the Jets. Zach Wilson hopefully can only get better following last year. Elijah Moore last year had 42 receptions, 538 yards, 5 touchdowns in only 11 games. This dude can play in the slot. He can play outside. I think he's going to really be that slot guy this year. Got Garrett Wilson on the outside, got Corey Davis on the other side. I think Elijah Moore can really play in that slot, get all the receptions you need, go deep even if he needs to. Elijah Moore's got all the tools to be a great receiver this year. maybe even finish their top 15 receiver. For the Eagles, interesting one, wide receiver Devonta Smith. After trading for A.J. Brown, I think Devonta Smith can actually have a better year than he did last year. This A.J. Brown addition is going to open up the offense a lot more. I'm not a full-on Jalen Hurts believer, but I think he can do enough. And I think Devonta Smith and him are really going to get that relationship going. Another year in the system for Devonta Smith. I think it's going to be great. Devonta Smith has all the potential in the world, and A.J. Brown is going to be that true number one. But you've seen in the past, it doesn't matter who's wide receiver one, who's wide receiver two. You can both get big-time numbers. So I really expect Devonta Smith to have a big-time year this year. The Pittsburgh Steelers breakout candidate is wide receiver Chase Claypool. I like Chase Claypool a lot. I think he's overrated for sure, but I think he's going to have the best QB situation he's ever had. Big Ben, Hall of Famer, no question. But Mitch Trubisky or Kenny Pickett are going to be better than Big Ben has been in Chase Claypool's career like the past 2 or 3 years. So Claypool is that big-time deep threat, jump ball, red zone threat. He has a lot of speed, too, that can go with it, and I think Kenny Pickett and Mitch Trubisky can get him the ball better than Big Ben does. I don't love his quarterback situation, I'll be honest, but I think it's a lot better than what he's had. Another one I love, and will be targeting this guy in all my leagues, 49ers receiver Brandon Ayuk. Brandon Ayuk has all the potential to be a top receiver on the 49ers. We don't know what's happening with Debo. He's entering these contract talks. He could even get traded. He's not traded at the time I'm recording this video, so I don't know what to tell you if he is traded, but I like Brandon Ayuk a lot this year. Started off slow last year, but still finished with 59 receptions, 860 yards, and 2 touchdowns. He can do even better than that, especially with Trey Lance. I don't know what to expect from Trey Lance, but I expect Brandon Ayuk to really take control of this offense and be that wide receiver one. Even if he's the wide receiver two, if Debo stays, I really like Brandon Ayuk's potential. The Seattle Seahawks is Rashad Penny. Now, this is a big risk because they drafted Kenneth Walker. They obviously want to use him, but Rashad Penny last year was insane. Averaged over 6 yards a carry. He just needs to stay healthy. He has potential to be a top 10 back in fantasy, especially this year. You got Geno Smith and Drew Lock at quarterback. You're going to want to be running the ball a lot. So I like Rashad Penny this year. Just depends on how they want to use Kenneth Walker and if Rashad Penny can stay healthy. For the Buccaneers, it's wide receiver Russell Gage. As I'm making this video, the Buccaneers did just sign Julio Jones, but I don't expect this to be a problem. We don't know what Chris Godwin's injury situation is looking like. Russell Gage could come in and be a wide receiver 3, wide receiver 2 behind Mike Evans, depending on how Julio plans out. But I like Russell Gage's potential. Tom Brady called him personally to get him to come on the Buccaneers. So if Tom Brady really likes the guy, then I really like the guy. Now, the Tennessee Titans, it's probably the oldest player on this list, but it's Robert Woods. Let's not forget, before last year, Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp were either equal or even some were saying Robert Woods was better. Robert Woods just has been injured. He's had these injury situations, and he can't really pop off like we expect him to. But I fully expect him to pop off like he can this year on the Tennessee Titans. You got that play action game. Whatever you think about Ryan Tannehill, he's proven that he can be a good regular season quarterback, which is all we need as fantasy players. So I am going to really be targeting Robert Woods. He can be the number one receiver on the Titans. As they just traded away A.J. Brown, as I mentioned before, Traylon Burks could eventually take that spot, but I think Robert Woods out of the gate is going to be the number one guy. He has a lot of potential to be a top 15, top 20 receiver in this league. And lastly is Washington Commanders' Curtis Samuel. This one's tough for me. I really like Curtis Samuel, but Curtis Samuel has been really disappointing me in these past few years. He hasn't really played, and when he does, he just doesn't look good. But a lot of people are saying Curtis Samuel is coming out this offseason really going to be pushing the wide receiver room for touches. You got Terry McLaurin and you do. You just drafted Jahan Dotson, but I still think Curtis Samuel, he can line up in the backfield, can line up on jet sweeps, can catch screens. He's quick enough. He's a good enough receiver where he can go underneath, go over the top even. I think Carson Wentz is going to be the best quarterback he's ever had. So I think Curtis Samuel has a lot of potential to be really, really dangerous this year. That's going to do it for every team's most likely breakout candidate. Make sure you follow all the socials, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and make sure you like and subscribe. All these socials are updated daily. This is where you get video updates. This is where you get short content like TikTok. You got the Reels. YouTube Shorts are even being posted. You guys have been blowing that up. I appreciate that so much. And make sure to subscribe. 99% of the people watching these videos are not subscribed. So if you could just go down, subscribe, hit the bell, like the video. It would really help out the channel a lot. And that's all I got. But next week, we got more college football content, Nebraska content. Super excited to get that out for you guys. But until then, signing up.